Hey, hello. Today's project, my wife wanted a way to listen to her phone while she's in the shower. And since it's a waterproof phone, I didn't want to get one of the big, huge waterproof mounts that cover the whole phone, because then it makes it harder to hear. So she can listen to her audiobooks and stuff like that if we just have it in something simple like this. But then the issue becomes how to mount it. So this is what it came with. It's just basically a double-sided foam piece that fits in here. The problem with that, it's not made for the shower. This is just made to hang on your wall, hold your phone while it's charging, not made for wet conditions. So water would seep in and ruin the adhesive, probably get moldy and nasty behind there as well. So tossing that, then that leaves us how to mount this. One way to do it, I mean, it's already got a couple of holes, although you can't actually get to them, so I think they're pretty pointless. But you could figure out some way of mounting it to the wall of the shower, but then that means drilling into it. And if you're drilling into it, then you're getting into a whole can of worms about whether it's leaking or not. So another option, my first plan, just got some of these that are specifically for working in the shower and for in the wet conditions, but they're very thin. So if I were to put those in there, they would not be near thick enough to adhere well to the wall. So I either need to build up the back of this somehow, or go around and cut off that lip. Well, the first thought was to cut off that lip, but then we've got kind of this waffle sort of pattern on both sides. So the only place it would really adhere is through the center section here. Well, that got me to thinking I might be better off just to make the whole thing smooth. I don't want to go to the whole work of grinding that all the way down to smooth. So what we're going to do is fill it with some cheap epoxy. It was cheaper to get this than it was to get in a whole nother case. JB Weld's good stuff. This should be more than sufficient to get this attached to, fill in that place on the plastic there and get that so that it has a flat surface where we can attach the command strips to and then hang it up. So let's get started. A couple pieces to cover those holes up. Now this should release from the epoxy once it's dry, but if it doesn't, we'll just clean it off as best we can. Come on, get in there. Well, my fat fingers aren't wanting to cooperate today. All right, now we have those nicely covered, I think. Let's see. Here, camera on that side. Then we will get out the epoxy and mix it. For this, we just squeeze out equal amounts and mix them. It's probably overkill, but I bought this tube just to use for this, so I'm actually going to squeeze out everything and use all of the epoxy. So here goes. That's as good as it's going to mix. Don't want it to wait too long. Let it harden up, and you'll just pour it in to here. Hopefully this is enough, actually. I think it will be, but it's not like I calculated the volume of that space. I'm just entirely winging this. So very quick and simple, albeit smelly and a bit messy. And I just realized I forgot to cover the table. So there's a very good chance that my life will end today if I manage to spill this on the table and get it all over. Ruin it. Not exactly finest furnishings, but it's the actual dining room table we use. And if I completely ruin it, I will not be in a good place with my wife. Could just blame it on the boys. But there is video evidence of me doing this, so I guess I can't do that. Getting all my edges not too much. Goodness, let me pull that up so I can look. Yeah, that's going to be very close to filling that, but not too much. That's almost the perfect amount. Scrape a bit more off of the plate into here. So as long as I get it all in here while it's very much flowing, it should settle in flat, or at least mostly flat. This is not precision work here. I'm just hanging a simple thing on the bathroom wall, or on the shower wall. So, not a lot of concern for tolerances and accuracy, but I'm also going to try very hard not to screw it up too badly. Okay. So, I think that's that. I think now it's supposed to set within 5 minutes and dry within an hour, or be cured within an hour. We'll check back in on that in a few minutes. It's only been a minute, but it did not seem to be quite sitting level, so I ripped off a corner of the epoxy package and folded and propped it under there. So I think, now it's still kind of just slightly downhill on that side, but I think it's okay. Well, we might prop it just a bit more. Alright, a little more junk under there, a little bit more flat. It's already starting to harden a little bit on the surface, I think. It's actually been almost 10 minutes instead of 5. Now, it said it would cure in 5, but, or pardon me, dry in 5 and cure in an hour, and it's pretty darn sticky. It's still pretty gooey. So, doing that on the plate because I really don't want to mess up that there. So we will continue. It's not quite like watching paint dry because it's epoxy. So we are watching epoxy cure. It's very much more exciting than paint drying. It's been about almost 3.5 hours now. So it's pretty dry. So there it is. Nice smooth surface. Definitely not as even with the rest of it as I would like, but I guess worst case I can figure those out, and we'll go from there. Alright, so it's a few days later, and I've decided that the way I'm going to deal with this is I'm just going to kind of whittle that edge down a bit where it's kind of elevated above it, just to make it flat. I could have tried to fill it some more, but I would have had to buy some more epoxy. It wasn't worth that. Or I could have sanded the whole thing down, which probably would have been the neatest approach, but I would have had to sand it flat and then grind it with go progressively finer with the sandpaper until it was smooth enough, because that adhesive does best with a very flat, smooth surface, and that would be a whole lot of work just for this simple little project. So, and plus, I'm thinking that leaving kind of these rounded edges might help with the water draining out around it. Since it is going to be in the shower, I don't want anything to be collecting water too badly. So, in fact, I might, now that as soon as I say that, I think I might put a couple holes in the bottom here just to help with some drainage there. So, let's get to whittling. It's interesting. Where I'm trimming a little bit of the edge of the epoxy, it's making an odd squeaking kind of sound. I don't think I am recording actually. Dang it. I am a moron. Alright. Hit record this time. That might make some slight amount of difference. Alright. Not a super fast process, but it's not overly time consuming. I'll clean this up, this whole surface up, since I'm getting my fingers all over it. I'll have the oils off my hand on there, so I'll clean that up really good. Clean the wall of the shower really good. Where it's going to go. Whole shower probably needs cleaned right now, but clean that spot good anyway. And then we will get this attached. Wow. This little tripod is just not up to the task with that light on the camera. Which doesn't help that I'm jostling the table every which way. I think about at that good enough stage. So still a little bit of a valley there on the bottom part of it, but should be more than enough for the command strips. And when I put those in, I'd probably get more strength if I went side to side, have a nice big long strips like that, but then the water would come in and pool on top and wouldn't be able to drain. So I would put those in vertically, 2 or 3 of them, and that way the water can run down between them if it gets any. I mean, it's gonna be up high enough, it shouldn't get much direct water, but it is gonna be in the shower. That is how it looks now. Not too shabby. Not perfect, but for a quick whittling job, it should serve its purpose. Let's do it real quick. Approximately the center. Clean those up. I think that is ready to hang up. Don't think I'll show that process. There it is. It is in place. Hopefully it holds. We'll find out. Neat enough in there. It'll hold the phone. Can't show you because I'm using my phone to record this. But I have to set a day, so I'll have to tell my wife not to use it tomorrow morning. So it says after a shower it's supposed to sit 24 hours. So apparently the moisture helps the adhesive finish curing. But in any event, it is in. Drain holes. And that's it for today.